I want to show you some of the worst mistakes you could be making right now in 2024 with your Facebook ads. So if you are feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you've plateaued, if you feel like costs are getting more expensive, if you feel like things are just not great or they're getting worse, you may be making some of these mistakes. So what are they? Let me show you. So we do a lot of advertising for e-commerce brands, a lot of advertising. Even in this year alone, we have brands that have done $1 million a month. We have brands that are scaling like crazy with a $10 CPA. We have brands that have done $1 million as well from one campaign, $2 million in a day. We do a lot. A brand that did $600,000 in sales from $60,000 ad spend. I know a thing or two about mistakes and things that are probably keeping you from scaling, keeping you from your results. So how do I know this? Well, I run a team of 80 people in my agency with my partners. I have 15 different teams that do marketing for e-commerce brands, and we've learned a thing or two. So mistakes are in these buckets: creative, media buying, economics, and organic. Because in the world of 2024, when it comes to running Facebook ads, it's not just the ad. It's not just the ad account. There's a lot of factors that influence that ad. So if you want to be an elite level marketer, you have to be making sure you're not making these mistakes in these categories. All right, let's dive in. All right, creative. The first one is the biggest variable to your success is going to be making amazing creative. So here are the mistakes I wish I knew many, many years ago when I started, that hopefully you don't make that same mistake. So the first one is not doing hours of proper research. A lot of people that I see, that I coach, or in brands that I work with, they just run an ad, or they have an idea, they run an ad. But a lot of times it's not based on anything. It's not based on research or the personas or positioning. And that's often the biggest mistake you can make, because the best marketers, myself and my team included, and others that I know, they do an insane amount of research before they ever launch an ad. And so you have to ask yourself, do I want to do what successful people do that have outsized returns, or do I kind of want to fly by the seat of my pants? So for example, even for our team internally, is we have a whole doc that we will spend 12 to 20 hours of research documenting everything we find, how to position the product appropriately, what are all the other competitors doing, what is the market sophistication, just to create ads. And that's why we have so much outsized returns. All right, the next one is acting like creative will not create the far greater impacts than account structure. I remember, 5 years ago, account structure was all the thing, and that was the variable to success. You could run really crappy ads and that account structure would pretty much solve it. But that's not the case anymore. One ad can dramatically change your account. I often tell my team, you're always one ad away from it completely changing your ad account in your business. And that's true. So always be looking for that next ad. Next one, knowing product positioning has the power to change performance. It took me a long time to figure this out. You can take the same product, even the same creative, frankly, but with different positioning, you can have massively different changes in performance in a good way. Here's a brand, for example, where all we did was we changed the positioning of the ad and we cut their CPA in half, or cost per purchase in half, all from product positioning. And these are just statics too. So there's nothing special. They're just images, but we changed the positioning of it and immediately got better attention and changed the CPA. Positioning is a massive deal. If you really want to be an expert marketer, or you really want to scale your brand, you've got to focus on positioning. And this is where a lot of brands that work with us, when they come to us, where we find they're stuck, is because they've been doing the same positioning for years and they've never pushed themselves to try different positioning. So the next one is care about what converts over looking good. I can't tell you how many times we've learned this lesson. Sometimes things look really good for the website, but when it comes to actually converting with an ad, it's often not the same. This is the exact same brand, but one ad is converting literally 4 times better than the other ad in terms of volume, as well as sales, as well as CPA. I don't know about you, but I don't care about being right half the time. I just care about making money and making the most amount of money for our brands. So I always gravitate towards the thing that's going to make us the most amount of money. And I know a lot of brands, they struggle with this one because they want to have a certain brand image. And I agree with that for the most part as well. But a lot of times there's a very clear case that those aren't always the same. The next one is I wish I had known that being clear is far better than being clever. Just like that other brand, a lot of times we see a really fancy ad or an ad that's like, oh man, that's really interesting, or oh man, that looks really great. But it doesn't matter, is because at the end of the day, what's actually going to make money? So here's an ad that my team made. We thought would be really clever, very fun, very interesting, and the CPA sucked. Versus this ad, the CPA is literally more than 2 times less than the other one because it's more clear. This one was a lot more nuanced and we were relying too heavily on being clever, but this one was extremely clear, extremely specific, and it converted far better. So this next one is one that a lot of people don't know as well, is study unicorn ads, not just ads that people see. I know a lot of times when you are trying to find a next ad, you're doing maybe some research on an ad that you want to run, there's a temptation to see a nice ad and you want to mimic it, but you need to stop. You can't do that. The reason why is you may be mimicking an ad that's a loser or an ad that's been on for a couple days. So I actually learned this from James Van Elswyk years ago. He's a marketer and affiliate, owns brands as well. Is if he sees an ad that he really likes, what he will do is he will earmark it and check back every few days or a week, every couple weeks to see, is that ad still on? Because if that ad is not still on, you're going to save yourself so much time, energy, and money creating that ad, because people leave ads on that make money. And if that ad is off, it means it was a loser. Don't waste your time. Versus going back and checking ads that are still on after days, weeks, and months. Those are ads to pay attention to because those make money. For example, from Rise Superfoods, here's two really great examples. This ad was literally launched 2 days ago. This ad has been on for 2 years. Don't look at this ad and mimic it because it hasn't proven to be a winner. Because here's the secret sauce. They are proving ad concepts for you. You don't even have to test those because they're testing and spending their money testing it for you. If it gets turned off after a couple of days, it means it sucked. Versus this ad, it's been running for over 2 years. That means there's something to it. Pay attention to this. Don't waste your time mimicking ads like this that have been on for a short period of time until they've been proven to be winners. So the next one, hopefully a lot of you guys know this, is not knowing that I should have been copying the ad IDs all along. Meta's made it far easier now. It used to be a lot more difficult. You had to copy the ad ID, and there was a whole process to do that. But this is critically important because engagement on ads is a big deal. And when you're copying and duplicating ads, you want to make sure you maintain the engagement on that ad because it will make it continue to perform. And over a long enough period of time, ads can survive for months and years because there's so much engagement on the bottom of that ad. It becomes like its own landing page, its own ecosystem. And that's critically important. So those are the mistakes I wish I knew when running Facebook ads, especially in 2024, that you have to know. Let's talk about account structure. Okay, so mistakes people are making right now running Facebook ads in their account structure. Okay, the first one, not being clean and organized. The number of ad accounts I take a look at that brands give me access to is horrifying how unorganized it is, because typically an unorganized mind is going to have unorganized success, but typically an organized mind is going to have a lot more clarity. And the reason why this is important is take a look at these different ad accounts. One is of a brand that we have access to. Another one is ours. You can look at this and you have no idea what the heck is going on. It's going to take you hours just to figure out what the heck is happening. But not only that, you're going to be not really understanding which campaign is actually giving me greater success. Whereas this is very organized. My team knows exactly what the purpose is, exactly what it is. And if you double click into those, it's very clean and organized on exactly what is being advertised, what's the positioning of it, what's the audience of it, to where anyone in my company can immediately go into this account and they can know in less than 5 minutes exactly what's happening and the strategy behind it. Versus this, it would take hours to fully understand that. Another mistake a lot of people are having right now is not having clear rules that run the account. The number of times I talk to people and I say, well, what are your rules for running the account? They'll give me like a one phrase answer. And then they'll say, but I often just kind of use my gut because I know it so well. And I know my account so well. While that could be true, you're often setting yourself up to fail, because when you have clear rules, it takes away the guessing and it gives you the focus you need to focus on the levers that actually make an impact and drive performance. So for example, for our team, every brand, we have very clear rules that we live and die by. For the product, for their margins, for their goals, we write out what exactly are the targets, and when it's above or below the target in these certain percentages, what do we do? When do we refresh it? When do we increase budget? When do we kill it? When do we lower budget? Very strict rules, because it now eliminates any emotion, any guessing, and allows my team and media buyers to be hyper focused on the things that drive performance and hyper focused on scaling the things that actually scale. And that is what elite marketers do, is they don't guess. They have so much experience that they know specific rules that they run their accounts by, and that is what gives them consistent, repeatable results. Another mistake as well is not having an actual strategy. A lot of people don't know this, but you can have a strategy in your account per campaign. And a lot of times people just randomly do things. You can get results that way, but typically what happens is you often find yourself coming back and doing the same thing over and over again because you haven't really documented. So my team, we actually document the blueprint of the account, the strategy of the account. What's the purpose behind campaigns? What's our hypothesis? What are we hoping it's going to actually do versus just randomly doing stuff and hoping everything works out. That is not the right way to do it. Also in 2024, a big mistake people have is consolidation. I'm a huge believer in this. I've seen too many ad accounts my team have turned over and gotten from stalling and failing to actually scaling again through account consolidation. So what we believe is have the MVP, minimum viable funnel at all times. We believe simple scales, complex fails. So we're always trying to go after a state where the account is the most simple version that's absolutely necessary as possible. There's sometimes we just have one campaign running because it's the most efficient way to spend the money to drive new customers at scale. And sometimes we may have 2 campaigns or maybe 3 campaigns for specific reasons and strategies. But again, we're choosing the most minimum viable funnel at all times that drives the most amount of efficiency and spends the budget the most wisely. And that's a big secret for us is we have campaigns that are simple and we can see very clear correlation to I spend this much amount of money and it drove this many new customers. Mistakes people are making right now with Facebook ads around biz economics. You cannot be a marketer today and you not intimately know the business and their business economics because you'll be making the wrong decisions. All of our brands that we work with, every single one, we have to know in detail, as well as them, their cost of goods sold, their margin, their lines of credit, because we need to know when we are scaling a campaign, scaling a product, we need to know this so we know how much profit we're actually making them. So every single product of the brand that we work with, we have them do a margin sheet that shows us all the costs associated with it, all the costs associated with the processing fees, the shipping costs, so we can see specifically the gross profit per product. It allows us to, one, focus on products that make them more profit. It allows us to better help them make strategic decisions on what products to stop pushing because they're not making money, or what products are a really great gateway of driving new customers. We have to know these things because that's how we scale brands profitably. Okay, a big mistake people are making in 2024 is not actually looking at the P&L to make the right decisions. For example, every brand that we work with, we have a P&L with them where we are tracking month over month all their costs, all their revenue, and all of their profit, because we need to know that when we spend $100,000 on ads, does it make the profit targets that we're all shooting for? If we increase that by 20%, did we see profit increase or decrease? Why or why not? You have to be doing this to be an elite level marketer because you need to know that every new ad that I launch, is it having an impact where it really matters? And that's the bottom line. The next one in business economics, the last one, is when you're running products, what a lot of people do is they will have a bunch of campaigns on. They'll look at the gross macro. Am I hitting Shopify revenue or am I hitting a certain MER target? But what you don't realize is each product, going back up here, has different margins. And if you are advertising several different products in your ads, but using the same target for all products, you're doing it wrong. Because as you can see right here, different products have drastically different margins. And what that means is you may be spending money on some products and some campaigns that are actually making you no money. Or in other campaigns, you're not spending enough because you're looking at the macro blended target when really you should be looking at per collection per product. So when we run ads for brands, we actually do it per collection or per product. So if whatever the strategy is, if we're focusing on a specific collection or a specific product, we actually break out reporting per that product, per the ad spend that we're putting behind it to see the actual return. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to focus on the things that actually make more profit. What products are more profitable than others? Let's quit spending money on those products. And instead, let's funnel more budget behind the products that are actually making us the better return, because we're actually looking at the full understanding of what products with advertising make us more money by doing it this way. All right, and the last one is going to be organic. So the reason I'm bringing this up is if you want to be successful at running Facebook ads in 2024, you have to stress organic. You have to stress it because it impacts your performance. So the reason why this brand, we're getting insane outsized returns of $10 CPAs, and why this brand is scaled to $1 million with a $22 CPA, and why this brand right here has done $600,000 and only spent $60,000 is because they're really good at organic. So if you want outsized returns, organics is the variable. So first one, some of the biggest mistakes I see, and this one kills me, is not responding to every freaking comment. You have to do that. Every comment on every ad, you have to have someone respond to it. That does a lot of positive things. Number one, it builds a community. Number two, it knows anyone else who sees that ad, when they click on the comments before actually clicking on that ad, the brand actually cares about them. Because what that conveys is that this brand is trustworthy if they're willing to take the time to respond to a comment on an ad that I saw from this brand. That means they actually care and they're trustworthy. Versus I see an ad, I look at the comments, and I see a ton of people asking questions and that brand's not responding. What that tells me immediately is they're not going to answer my customer service question when I want to return. They're just going to take my money. You've got to do it. I know time is a factor. We all say we don't have time, but you have to make time for what's important. And this is freaking important. The number of times we run ads for brands, and the brands that respond to every comment and the ones that don't, they always perform better, the ones that respond. So respond to every comment. The next one is doubling down on organic content. This is a huge one. A lot of brands that I see, there's two big differences. If you want to have outsized returns, being very obsessive about organic versus not is the difference between a brand that's scaling profitably and a brand that's just struggling to survive. So for example, here's two extreme examples. This is a fashion brand. They rarely post. Their CPAs are literally 3 times greater versus this brand. They're posting daily. They're building a community. They are making content people want to see. You can just tell just by the views how much more engaging this brand is than this brand. And this brand has literally 3 times cheaper CPAs. They have significant outsized returns. They're scaling insanely fast because they focus on the thing that people ignore, and that's building a community, building an organic presence. And these guys are on a rocket ship. The other mistake is going to be not being founder-led. This is something I think people need to understand is founder-led brands, in my opinion, do better because they build trust. And also, it's a competitive advantage. In today's market, everyone can steal each other's products, each other's designs. You can make it overseas. You can print on demand it. But what the one thing they can never steal is you, the founder, the front-facing person. And this is a big mistake, in my opinion, because not only does it build trust, but because you can do a better job as a founder conveying what's so special about your brand and the product and getting that salesmanship across. And that's why I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make in 2024 is not being founder-led, because it's a huge competitive advantage. And also our brands see higher returns when they are front-facing. Last one is mining your community's content. So this is a really simple one, but a lot of times when brands come to us and they're talking about, oh, I don't have content for ads, or my ads aren't working. I'm like, that's really interesting. Pull up your Instagram, pull up your TikTok. And they pull it up. And I was like, okay, I see the ads you're running. I see the ads you're posting. Look at your tagged. And they go to the tag. I'm like, dude, do you not see that you've got hundreds of people literally tagging you, wearing your product, talking about your product, and they have more engagement than you have on yours? Dude, go freaking use that. Go ask them if you can use that content, because it's a great way to fuel more content for your ads, for your organic. And frankly, especially if they're better at organic than you are, it's a great way to get better performance. All right, so those are the biggest mistakes people are making in 2024 with Facebook ads. But unfortunately, it's not just one thing. It's the creative, it's the media buying, it's the economics, it's the organic. You have to nail those things if you want to be an amazing marketer at Facebook ads. So remember, when performance isn't where you need it to be, check those 4 critical pillars. 9 times out of 10, we see that brands that come to us, it's always one of those 4 things. Some of them are easily fixable. Some of them, it takes some time, but that is how we're scaling brands so quickly. That's how we're scaling brands profitably. So if you want help with this, I have a calendar link below. My team of 80 people do this all the time for brands. We've been featured by Meta. We've been featured by Founder. We're known for doing $2 million in 24 hours. We're known for our product launch formula, our fashion scaling playbook, and many more. I hope to see you on the call, but if not, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.